Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Omega Primus, and I just got done watching Guardians of the Galaxy at my local theater, and it's July 31st, so I got to see it a day early, which is awesome, and it's not supposed to be out until tomorrow, or technically tonight at midnight. This movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, is written and directed by James Gunn. I would call this entire movie a comedy sci-fi action movie, okay? That's how I would describe Guardians of the Galaxy. And of course you have your main cast, Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, who's played by Chris Pratt, and he sells it as a Star-Lord. He is very funny, everything he says is very comedic. You have Bradley Cooper doing the voice for Rocket the Raccoon, but in the movie they don't call him Rocket the Raccoon, they just call him Rocket, which is why he gets upset in the movie when whenever anybody calls him a rodent or a raccoon. He doesn't quite know what he is, but he does the voice, and he's very funny also. So between Bradley Cooper and Chris Pratt, they're both, I would say, the most comedic ones out of the group. You have Dave Bautista playing Drax the Destroyer. His character is a very literal person, so he doesn't quite understand sarcasm very well, and he takes everything very seriously. And he does have a few comedic moments, I would say. Very few comedic moments. You have Vin Diesel doing the voice for Groot, and of course, he has the easiest job in this entire movie, because if you're a hardcore Marvel fan, you would know that the only thing Groot says is, "I am Groot." Even though towards the end of the film you think he's gonna say something different, but it's more or less the same thing. Who else? Zoe Saldana playing Gamora, who's I think one of the adopted daughters of Thanos. She was pretty cool in the film. I would say pretty cool. A lot of her choreographed moves was pretty neat, seeing her do a bunch of, you know, close quarters combat on Peter Quill, Star-Lord himself, and other enemies in the film. Also, you have Karen Gillian playing Nebula, who's the sister to Gamora in the film. Her character, I don't know, she wasn't really shown a lot until towards the end when shit was going down and, you know, everybody had their huge battle in the movie. And you have the main villain, I guess, or one of the main villains, Lee Pace, who plays Ronan the Accuser. He was okay. His lines wasn't very memorable, but he was serviceable for what he did in the film. I would say that. Also, Thanos, who's voiced by Josh Brolin. That's one of the villains I was very excited to see. I was like, are they going to show Thanos? Or are they not going to show Thanos? And they show him. And I was very pleased with how he looks, because he looks exactly like the comic. And I was like, ah! I was like geeking out next to my friend. I was like, you know, elbowing him with my elbow. Like, oh my gosh, he looks just like the comics. He looks just like the fucking comics. Ah! So, so yeah, I was geeking out because, you know, I'm a kind of a huge comic book fan, and as soon as I saw Thanos turn around in that throne and they showed him in his entirety, not just his face like they did with the end of the Avengers, because that's the first we saw of him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but in this movie we get to see all of him. And he looks badass. He looks very big and imposing, just like the comics. And yes, he has his chin, his weird looking chin, and his purple skin, just like the comics. Also, he's very CGI heavy, but it's kind of like a mixture between CGI and motion capture, I would say. It had a very odd blend of those two, but it did look very real, and I was very pleased with that. Oh yeah, you have Michael Rooker playing Yondu, who's like an alien, I guess, because I would assume he's an alien since he has blue skin. You don't really see him do much until near the end, and I would say he's a cool character once you get to see what he actually does. And of course he has some history with Peter Quill, the Star-Lord. I'm not going to give away what that history is, but anyways, the movie opens up in 1988, so it takes place in the 80s, which is pretty, well, it opens up in the 80s, which I should say, with Peter Quill as a very young boy. He's in the hospital. Something very tragic happens, which I don't want to give away because I'm not doing a spoiler-filled review here, even though I might give away minor spoilers. So something very tragic happens in his life, and he ends up being abducted by aliens. Well, actually, I think it's one of the characters in the film, which I'm not going to mention in this review, because this is a spoiler-free review. But anyways, he gets abducted by one of the characters that you get to figure out who that was later on in the film. And it cuts to, I think, 23 years later, when Peter Quill's all grown up. He's pretty much already established as a Star-Lord. He has his, cool, trench coat and his helmet that he wears with the giant red eyes. And he has, these little jet things, these little jet packs attached to his boots. And he's on this planet searching for this, this item that he can sell for money. But that item turns out to be one of the Infinity Gems. And so when he brings it back to one of the planets with all the Nova core, now I'm going to be horrible forgetting the planets in this movie because I wasn't really keeping track of all the names that well for all the planets that they've shown. One planet that I do vaguely remember was this one planet called Nowhere, but it's spelled with a K instead of the N, so it's like Knowwhere, I think. Well, anyways, Nowhere is like a mining planet where the entire cast goes to meet the Collector, played by Benicio del Toro. Also, when it gets to that scene with the Collector, pay attention to his collection per se. Like, there's going to be a bunch of characters in the background in captivity that are from previous Marvel movies, so pay very close attention, because when he was giving his dialogue, I was like looking around seeing what I could recognize. I was like, oh, that's from the Avengers, and I was like, oh, that's from Thor: The Dark World. So there's going to be a few things that you might recognize from the previous films. So where was I now? Yeah, Peter Quill, he brings back the Infinity Gem to the Nova Core planet, and he tries to sell it, but he couldn't once he finds out that, shit, I'm forgetting his name already. That Ronan the Accuser is also after the gem. And so Ronan sends Gamora after, well, actually, yeah, I think that's how it went down. Ronan sends Gamora after Peter Quill, and they have a little tussle on Nova Prime, and that's where Rocket the Raccoon and Groot comes in. Rocket tries to capture Peter Quill because there's a bounty on his head, and of course, I guess Rocket is sort of a bounty hunter along with his friend Groot. So anyways, they all end up getting in one big tussle and end up, I guess, breaking the law, so they get locked up with each other. So after they get locked up, they all kind of like get along with each other and work together to escape the prison that they get locked up in. And after they escape, that's when they end up going to the planet called Nowhere, where the Collector is. The Collector wants to meet up with only Gamora and Star-Lord, while Rocket, Groot, and Drax the Destroyer are all like somewhere else on that planet having fun. They're like in this weird, I don't want to say like a bar, maybe type of bar. They're all like, it looks like they're kind of like gambling with these weird small alien creatures, and they're all getting drunk. It was a very fun scene. But anyways, I think the Collector describes the Infinity Gem, what it is to them and what it can do, and I think like it draws certain people in, the gem itself, because one of the Collector's like, I don't know what you would call her, well, one of the ladies or alien person that was working for the Collector, she was like looking at the gem and she was like getting drawn to the gem. So it seems to draw certain people in, whoever like looks at it for a long period of time. I'm not sure though, I'm not sure. But anyways, Drax and Raccoon actually both get drunk, and you see Drax beating the crap out of Groot, and Rocket the Raccoon is very like pissed off and drunk, and he's about to kill everyone. But of course Peter Quill steps in and calms everybody down. So of course, with Drax still all drunk on whatever the hell they were drinking, he sends out a I think it's like kind of a distress call to Ronan the Accuser, and pretty much lures him to that planet that they're on, and they pretty much tussle themselves because they actually have some history with each other between Drax the Destroyer and Ronan the Accuser. At some point during the past, Ronan the Accuser, I guess, attacked the planet that Drax the Destroyer was living on and killed his entire family. So that's why Drax has so much build-up hate against Ronan the Accuser. So they end up fighting. I believe Gamora tries to escape the planet, and she gets hunted down by her sister Nebula. She gets shot down in the spaceship. You see her floating in space, and Peter Quill sees all this, and he pretty much flies to her and saves her. He gives her his helmet, which provides her with oxygen, and he doesn't really quite die right away because he sends out like a distress call to, I believe, I think it's Yondu. Yondu's the one who comes and picks them up. But that was a very nice scene. It was a very beautiful scene because it looked like a beautiful painting. There's a lot of scenes like that in this movie, so it's very well done. So basically, they all get together and come up with a plan to get one of the Infinity Gems back from Ronan the Accuser. And that's one thing I failed to mention during this review is how he got the gem. It's when he showed up on the planet Nowhere after Drax called out to him. I believe that's how they got the gem. I could be wrong. Yeah, that is. Because after they shot down Gamora's ship, you see the gem floating in space, and of course they I guess you use some gravity beam to, you know, bring up the gem in their spaceship. But anyways, they all get together to come up with a plan to get the gem back, and they have the Nova Corps helping them out. So the final battle is pretty much one huge, epic, you know, spaceship shootout. Very similar to what you would see in a movie like Star Wars or Star Trek. And once the Guardians of the Galaxy boards the ship that Ronan's on, you get a battle between Gamora and Nebula, which is okay. I was expecting a little bit more from that battle, but it was good for what it was. Also, you got some weird stuff going on with Gamora, or not Gamora, but with Nebula's body. You get to see some very funky stuff going on with her body, because I think she has like cybernetic parts or something like that. But it's very cool. It's very cool, because when I saw that part, I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? During the battle between Gamora and Nebula, you get to see Drax the Destroyer, Star-Lord, and Groot all battling other enemies on the ship, and you get to see each of them do something cool in the movie. You get to see, you know, each one of them do something cool pertaining to their own abilities. Especially Groot. He's a little OP. But I would say between Groot and Drax, they're both kind of like the muscle of the group. So anyways, you get to see them doing their thing while Nebula and Gamora are fighting. Then after they have their little fight, they pretty much all gather up and battle, what's his name? Ronan the Accuser. And then Rocket comes in at some point. I'm not going to quite say what happens there. So they pretty much continue on going up against Ronan. They don't actually, I would say, you know, fight Ronan, I would say. It's kind of a fight. I don't know. I mean, a fight to me would be punching and kicking and doing all kinds of crazy crap. they weren't really doing that against Ronan because, well, they know Ronan is pretty much overpowered, you know. But they do end up finding a way to defeat him. That's what I will say, since I don't want to give away any spoilers. The entire movie was very funny, very fun, lots of fun. It's kind of like if you would take, I don't know, if you would like take the characters from Star Wars and put them in a fun Marvel film where it's just very comedic and very fun and just really funny. So what else can I say about this film? Man, I'm really trying not to give away too many spoilers because I want this to be a spoiler-free review. I'm sorry if I'm giving away too much, but I don't know, this is my way of giving a review, just trying to recall everything I've seen, but at the same time, not giving away any spoilers. I will say, stick around till after the credits. You will get to see a special little character that had his own movie back in the day, and I grew up watching this movie. It's a lot of fun. For you older folks out there who are fans of Marvel, you will recognize this character right off the bat. For you younger folks out there, I would say maybe you 12-year-olds, I don't know, 13-year-olds, I don't know, for you younger people, you might not know who this character is after the credits, but as soon as I saw him, I got really excited. I kind of like, you know, nudged my friend that was sitting next to me, and I was like, that's you know. Even though the character did look really weird to me because they use CGI, like 100% CGI. From what I remembered from his classic Solo film, well, I don't want to say. All I'm going to say is that they use mostly, you know, animatronics back then. Reason why I don't want to give too much away, because you guys might guess who it is. But anyways, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy, very fun movie. I would say between the entire cast, you will end up loving Rocket the Raccoon the most, and Peter Quill, aka the Star-Lord, the most. I'm trying to think who else you guys might like in the movie. Maybe Nebula. She was pretty cool. She was very intimidating. Damn. I don't know. Between Chris Pratt and Bradley Cooper, they were like the most standout ones. Groot, they don't really show... I mean, yeah, they do show him quite a bit, but he's not really in the forefront a lot. I would say the ones that they do show mostly are Star-Lord, Gamora, Rocket the Raccoon, and... yeah, I would say Drax a little bit. But only between the first three that I mentioned. Yeah, those are in the forefront a lot in the film. So, I guess the only thing for me to do now is give the film a rating, which I'm horrible at. I would say this movie gets a 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. It's worth seeing. It's a lot of fun, especially for you diehard Marvel fans out there. If you're not a Marvel fan, I don't know what to say, because there's going to be a lot of characters, a lot of recognizable things in this film that Marvel fans will enjoy, but for you average moviegoers who are just going to see this because you think this might be connected to the Avengers somehow, no, this is within the same universe as the Avengers, but it's not really connected to the Avengers just yet, I would say. At the end of the film, they do say Guardians of the Galaxy will return, meaning they might get a sequel, or they might show up in other Marvel films with other Marvel characters. We don't know yet. I'm just excited I got to see this movie a day early with my friend. That's awesome, because the last movie I was supposed to see this year a day early was supposed to be Godzilla, but I ended up getting sick that day, which really sucked, so I didn't get to see that until the next following day. And I'm surprised that I got to see Guardians of the Galaxy a day early at least, so hey, that makes up for Godzilla. Oh, and my apologies, I forgot to mention 3 other famous actors who are also in this film. You have Demon Hanzo, who plays Korath. You have John C. Reilly, who plays... Well, Corpseman? Okay, he plays the Corpseman of the Nova Corps. I'm looking at IMDb right now because I forgot about these actors earlier on in my review. And you also have Glenn Close, who plays Nova Prime. I thought Nova Prime was supposed to be a guy. Okay, that confuses me. Well, anyways, yeah, those are some other actors that I forgot to mention, so I apologize for that. But yeah, I'm Omega Primus. Thanks for watching this review. Sorry if it went on for too long. Hope I didn't give away, like, a lot of spoilers or anything like that. I did try to, I don't know, keep the review to a minimum, but it ended up going off wrong. I will have to edit this review. Alright, peace out.